doing this, so yay, crap. No, not yay, crap. But anyway, just gonna pull some things up real quick. And I'm gonna be, at least from now up until like the start of the new year. Oh, actually, wait. Stop. Starting next year, or like pretty much the end of December, I'm going to be doing another reading for each of the signs, and I'm going to be doing 2022 spread for each sign, and I'm going to be doing a spread for that. But let me just click around a little bit. But anyway, so I'm going to be using 2 decks. I'm going to be using the Goetia Tarot in Darkness as a waiver or an oracle. Well, just like how it is every year, KFL, meh with it. I'm just kind of met with a lot of things. Okay, let me just click around real quick, and then the other deck that I'm actually really going to use is Tarot V, or definitely not Nosferatu Tarot. Tell that to get out of my life. Tell this to go over here. Tell that to do that. Tell this to go. Wait. Hold on. Okay. And I put in for an average about 30 minutes for each one, so that way, yeah, you get the idea. But anyway, so let's do this then. So essentially, the Tarot, the Goetia Tarot in Darkness, that one's going to be like which Goetic Divine, or if you want me to use the technical term, Demon. That's going to best help you for December. And yes, I took out the aces for that. And it doesn't have to be from the Goetia, because Lilith and Lucifer Guru are in here. And yes, I call him Guru because by technicality he is one. So we'll just see what decides to pop out, or whom decides to pop out. Okay. Hello, Fiona. So, Pisces, the Goetic Divine that you should be investing with this month of December is Prince Orbos. Now, Prince Orbos is one of the most supportive and actually always has the best interest of the person or summoner. Yeah, and actually Capricorn is actually scheduled after Aquarius, because I'm doing Pisces, Aquarius, Capricorn. I'm going backwards because reverse. So Ouroboros is the Goetic Divine you should go towards. Reason being, Ouroboros is one of the most supportive and also always looks out for the person whoever calls to him. No matter what it is. They always have the best interest, and he is point blank truthful and honest. So December, you could be thinking that it might be ideal to be more honest with yourself and be more point blank to whomever you're interacting with, and not be really concerned about how they take it, but just being like, this is just how it is, because you have to be honest and you have to put your well-being first over everything else. And also Ouroboros is also very good to actually detect other entities that are also on the left that are coming towards you, and you also can negotiate. So now the Tarot V. So essentially I'm just going to pull, let's see, let's take a look at one more thing. Okay, so that would be 1, 2, wait, yeah, 1, 2, 3, okay. So oddly, I'm going to be pulling 5, like one for each week, and we'll see what comes out. If I need to clarify something, I will. So technically this week, for Pisces, and having Ouroboros be the Goetic Divine, what can you tell me for the first week for Pisces of this month for December? Week 1. Page of the Blades. Week 2, Ace of Twigs. Page 3. No, wait, week 3. Page of Wands. Page 3. Well, week 3. Yeah, because for some reason, just the way that this calendar looks like there's 5 weeks, but we'll go with it. Week 4. Week 4, the Hermit. Then the last week. The Chariot. Hong Kong Phooey. Okay. So this week, for this month, starting with week 1, December 1st, you probably are going to be in a state like, you know what, I'm sick of this. I'm going to go out and actually start really sticking it to people. Because possibly there could be incoming this week that something is going to set you off, and you're probably going to go, quote-unquote, rogue. By rogue, I mean kind of really being a bit point blank, so much in a way that you're metaphorically just going at people's throat like, you're going to stop treating me like crap. Nope, you're not going to do that anymore. Don't think about it. You understand? Because the Page of Blades, she's not really that experienced wielding one of these things yet, so she's a lot more stern to actually start swinging with it. So for the first week, something might get you into a state of like, you know what, I'm done with this, and Ouroboros, having Ouroboros influence that can be possibly really sticking up for your truth and not being afraid to start swinging with it. And the next week is the Ace of Wands. So following after that, you may most definitely find something that's really going to ignite your inner flame. And even Ouroboros may actually reveal that to you, because being point blank and honest, after speaking the truth and really not having it, and just swinging a brandishing blade all over the place, cutting away BS, you'll actually be able to discover the inner flame that's actually helping you build that inner fire to actually pursue something that you want to do, or actually have the finishing touches on something you're working on. Then the next one is the Page of Wands. So, in a way, it's kind of like you may be going from a state of like, I'm going to stab someone, finding a stick or finding inspiration, and then you now actually take this inspiration and now you actually start using it to craft something new, or actually relaying a message. So you can go from a message of pretty much going, stay away from me, I need my time, finding something that inspires you, and then taking that inspiration and then now actually starting to spread it out and share it with other people that you deem close. And since there is in this depiction, a husky alongside of her, you actually may possibly, if it involves a pet, you may be inspired by your pet. And or you can be taking up archery or some kind of ancient way of, well, not really ancient, but like an older way of sport, I'd rather say, because archery technically is a sport, and also, believe it or not, in Japan, there's actually a kata which is a set of moves where they actually take a bow and arrow, and there's certain steps you have to do. But then again, when you do that kata, the target is like almost like right in your face, and you just point blank shoot it. But having that inspiration and actually using that to fuel your inner flame may also inspire another person to be like your closest friend from it. You can even be Ouroboros too. Then the fourth week, we have the Hermit. Now, this depiction, I'm kind of not really fond of it that much, because I see a figure being below a figure that is not the most pretty to look at, and the figure down below is showing that the other figure has dominance over them and intimidating them. So what I'm getting from this instead is that other people in that week may actually be starting to understand that you're actually somebody who they look up to, and they actually may come and apologize to you. But then we take it to the other extreme the other way, if something is trying to look down on you, don't do what the figure's doing, putting yourself below them. Instead, keep that inner flame that you found and keep it going. Because the last thing you want to do is go all the way back up to the page and start, putting a knife to people's necks, metaphorically, and start cutting away. But either way, the very last week and actually the kickoff the new year, you'll actually be obtaining the chariot. Now, what's within this chariot, who knows? Possibly you could have something that you have gained from this Ace of Wands from the second week. And from that week, you can say this inspiration becomes the treasure that you find and you haul into the next year. And since Ouroboros is the one guiding you for it, possibly that could be what he's bestowing and helping you trying to find this inspiration. And since the chariot also represents things going very fast and working as a unit, you could say also you may find 2 figures within the month of December that can really help you with your Ace of Twigs. Actually, here's something better. One week you may find somebody who is immature with their communication and looking for ways of expansion. And the next week you may actually be inspired to actually teach them. And then you'll find another individual that may be willing to or wanting to learn from you. And then they start looking up to you. And then from that, you three start working as a unit to bring in something better or to actually invest in something much on a grander scale. But just with Ouroboros though, and since it's also the world, you could also be helping people end something and then something new can start for them, since this is the world card. And since this is also Jupiter in Capricorn, now usually Jupiter in Capricorn is a placement where Jupiter gets kind of pissed off because you're telling, this is the best way I can put it, you're telling, let's say, like if you're going into a church down south, and it's a black people church, you're like, it's essentially Jupiter is being like the black preacher, and then you're going up to him and saying, can you quiet down a little bit because you're a little bit loud. If you do that, you're going to be more than likely going to have him say this and look at you funny. Boy, you're going to tell me that I can't be as loud as I want, tell me about my religion? You crazy boy. Yeah, it doesn't work, because Capricorn is a sign of restriction, orderly discipline, and having things being in an organized fashion and knowing when enough's enough. Jupiter is best said like the planet that's like Oprah Winfrey. Everybody gets something. Everybody gets this, that, everything. Great beneficiary, but also the one that speaks on behalf of divinity. So having a preacher having self-control when he teaches, like, and God said to, I would say more, but I can't speak any more than a few words a minute. But it was also, this combination also shows somebody just teaching for a status, like saying, I am a guru. That's what Jupiter in Capricorn usually does, which is not really a guru. So if you have the intention of teaching on the idea of actually helping someone grow instead of like teaching just for a status and guiding for a status, you'll be perfectly fine. Is there anything else that Tarot V can bestow? Just give me, we'll go with, let's go with, we'll just pull 3 for health, the mind, and then the spiritual. Health-wise, we have, there's justice for health. And this justice, don't expect me to read it like an everyday justice card. Justice for health. 4 of blades for mental. And then for spiritual, we get, oh, Kendra's gonna love this when she sees this. And then spiritual, we have the devil. Well, there's that. So, we'll start with the health first. So this depiction of justice, we have a figure rising up out of the ground. But below that, we have a figure holding a sword and scales. So regarding your health, you actually may be in a position where you may, like say for example, if you're getting some kind of medical treatment, or even like your sense of comfort and conveniency, something has not been taken care of, or like say you're renting from a unit, from a landlord, and they're not really taking care of the unit and it's affecting your well-being in the rental, you actually may be taking matters into your own hands and kind of making it known that this injustice has to stop. Same thing if you're getting medical assistance from like a healthcare provider. If you're not being really well taken care of, and even also not fed, you actually may even the scales your way, if that makes sense. So make sure that your well-being is taken care of, and if something has to be done, it has to be done. Just make sure you tip the scales literally in your favor and not risk anything. In terms of mental, now, this depiction we have a woman figure in the light and also a figure in black, pretty much drawing back the covering that she had over her. So when it comes to mental, you actually may also this month need to prioritize your mental health and your mental well-being and your thoughts, and then really take stock of how you're sleeping, and make sure that whenever you're sleeping that there's no spiritual entity or spiritual force that is kind of disturbing you when you sleep. So make sure that when you go to sleep, pretty close to you, you have something such as an amethyst, a shungite, a piece of selenite, or any kind of protective piece that you have. Or if you really want to be overkill, actually get something like a piece of shungite, because shungite pretty much absorbs all the BS and filters it out. It only leaves positive energy from it. So just make sure that you're not being, your mind is not being tainted by outside forces. Now the spiritual health, well, Kendra, if you're here, which I would be ecstatic if you are, is the devil. Now again, people think, oh, devil, that's bad. No. For your spiritual suggestion this month, this actually may be a consideration to know that Spirit also at times wants you to enjoy your life, enjoy the senses, because in life, of course, there is that sense of morality, but in this case, you need to enjoy the time that you're here, because who knows, you may not get another time afterwards. But specifically with it being also the devil is knowing your limits, that enough's enough, and also knowing how to ration your time to one aspect of life. For example, say that you are really strict with your spiritual practice, like extremely strict, and has to be like this. This could be hinting that maybe just let loose a little, let some other things come in. Don't be so intensely stuck to it. Allow some other things to come through and be more flexible. Or even also consider maybe branching out to another darker entity, such as any of the entities on the left, Satanas himself, Lucifer, any of them, because the devil does have a potential representation towards them. And also knowing that you can indulge on what makes you feel like you're living on this earth. There's nothing wrong with indulgence, but just not allowing it to possess you and blind you and then make you become stuck to it. That's when it gets out of hand. Just know your limitations of your practice, and also be willing to take in some of the darker forces, because in order to have the light, you need to have the dark. And now having the light doesn't mean that it's good, and then having the dark doesn't mean it's all bad. Because both of them can provide so much good to you, to an extent. In fact, to be more honest, the darker entities tend to be the most accepting, and the ones that take in everybody and anybody, because darker entities are the most supportive. I'll actually be doing one for Dentalium once I pull this card, but He's actually one of my favorite entities to work with. In fact, I have a few pieces I made him and dedicated to him. But the devil, this month for spirituality, consider heavily going towards them, the darker side, because they may have a lot to give you and bestow to you. A lot. And actually, they may be willing to give you some advice regarding evening the scales on your physical well-being and also your mental security. So, let's see. Any other final words? Any final words for Pisces? We'll do 2. 10 of Wands alongside 8 of Swords. Now, both of these cards have one thing in common. Both of them are solitude. One is going through the unknown and the mist and the fog, while the other one is on top of the world underneath the blood moon, which, funny enough, the solar eclipse is coming as well. So this month, there you go. And actually, funny enough, Aquarius is coming up next. So another thing to keep in mind, Pisces, is that sometimes you do have to walk alone on your own, and even in positions where you're like, I have no idea what I'm doing. But, you know, you're going through it, and you're all by yourself, and you're looking classy at least. And you know your worth, and you know exactly what must be done. But at the end of the day, the only way that you're going to get to the top, and the only person you can rely upon, is yourself and your own intuition. And from going from a state you might be feeling lost, you'll actually be on top of the world, ready to take on the next year, no problem. So Pisces, that's what I have for you for the month of December. So I'll see all of you next year. So then if you're waiting for Aquarius, I'll be ending the live stream and then opening up the next one for Aquarius in like 5 seconds. So see you guys in the next one in about a few